And now for our second speaker of the day. Mr. Chris D. will be, sorry about that interruption. Mr. Chris D. will be speaking about his journey to obtaining his U.S. citizenship, and we're certainly glad that he's still here. He'll be working on project number 5 from his Competent Communicator book. His speech will be 5 to 7 minutes, and it will be around, the theme of the project is Your Body Speaks. Born and raised in Germany, Chris moved to the United States in 2001 to attend law school. He passed the Arizona bar exam in 2003 and the California exam in 2005. He worked for a small, or boutique as they now call it, civil litigation and family law firm in downtown San Diego from 2005 to 2011. He then started his own firm with a focus on civil litigation, business matters, and a little bit of family law. Please help me introduce and welcome Mr. Chris D.
All right, since the topic is New York, which is one of the symbols of the United States, and since I just yesterday became a citizen, I figured, I thought I'd talk about my journey that ended up here as a U.S. citizen as of yesterday. As all of you now know, I grew up in Germany, and in fact I grew up in East Germany, so on the other side of the Iron Curtain. Now let me just tell you, it sucked. We did not have any civil liberties. We drove cars made out of cardboard. I'm not kidding. If you Google Trabant, you'll see the little car made out of cardboard, 26 horsepowers for 4 or 5 people in it, and you had to wait 18 years to get one. So when I was born, my parents signed me up for the car, hoping that when I turned 18, I would have a car to drive. That's how bad it was. But luckily, my parents were very open and actually against the regime. So all we watched was West German TV, which wasn't allowed, and we could get in trouble for it, but we did it anyway. And so I grew up watching all these great American TV shows like Fall Guy, and I hope you guys are not too young to still remember this show. But Fall Guy, The A-Team, Riptide, Simon & Simon actually shot here in San Diego. And so all I saw, all these shows were in California, right? So all I saw was gray and gloomy outside in Germany. I saw the sun, beautiful women, fancy cars. I was like, man, America must be great. So I became fascinated with America early on. Now, when I was 13 years old, the wall came down. And for the first time, we were experiencing freedom. And I actually did not contribute to the coming down of the wall because of my dedication at this early age of 13 years old to the United States. When everybody else was out demonstrating against the regime, which happened every Monday night in all the big East German cities, I stayed at home because A-Team was on. And I would not miss a show of A-Team just for a demonstration. So as I got to experience this new freedom during my teenage years, I realized that it wasn't good enough for me. There was still, and this is typical for Germans, there are so many rules and regulations, and I didn't agree with most of them. But even during that time, my fascination with America grew and grew and grew because by then, Baywatch was on. So I ended up going to law school in Germany. I did not like it because that's where I learned even more about these rules and regulations that I didn't really agree with. So luckily, we had a professor from the US who was teaching this introduction to American law. And I loved it. And so she suggested, well, if you don't like it here, why don't you do an internship for a law firm in the US and see if you like it, and maybe you figure out a way to stay there. And so I thought, that's a great idea. But to get an internship, I would have to prove to wherever I applied that I could at least speak some English, which at that time wasn't all that great. And so I decided, well, I'll go to the US first for a language course, so I could then prove I can speak some English. So in 1998, I went to Washington, D.C. for the summer for a 6-week language course. And there are 2 memorable things that I remember about that summer, and they both have to do with subways. So I get to the US for the very first time. It's about a 14, 15, 16-hour flight. I land in Washington, D.C., and they take you with a shuttle. You have to go to the subway station, and then you go to wherever I had to go. And I'm waiting at the subway station. I have my 2 gigantic suitcases. And I had never spoken a word of English to anybody other than my English teacher in high school, really. And so the subway pulls in, all the doors open up, and out of every door, a guy comes out, full body armor and an automatic assault rifle. And they're standing like this. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, well, this is Washington, D.C., it's the capital, right? They probably have extra security on these trains, there may be important people. I grab my 2 suitcases, I walk up to the door, and the guy at the door is like, stop, and points the gun at me. I'm like, holy crap. So it turns out that was the money train. And not for me to get on. The second story is Subway, the restaurant. So on my way to the school every day, I walked by the Subway restaurant. We didn't have Subway in Germany at the time. And I saw these beautiful pictures of these sandwiches, and they looked fantastic. And so every day I walked by and said, I should get one. Finally, I got up the courage to go in there and order one. And little did I know, they ask you all these, I thought you just point at one and they give it to you. So everybody in there got mad at me because the guy's like, Swiss American provolone? Yes. So I did not understand what he was saying. It's a horrible, horrible experience. So I went back to Germany, and then the next summer I got an internship here in San Diego for a law firm. And that, when I arrived in San Diego for the first time, that is when I knew I would want to stay. So I came out of the airport, it was sunset and the palm trees. I was like, okay, I'm not leaving. I finished my internship, went back to Germany to finish law school, came back here for law school. I passed the Arizona bar, I passed the California bar, got a job, got a green card, and then finally last December, I applied for citizenship, and in February I had my very exciting citizenship interview, where I answered questions like, name one state that borders Mexico. Name the ocean on the east coast of the United States. Name one Indian tribe. Are you a habitual drunkard? Have you ever provided food to a terrorist? Not that I know of. I had to read the sentence, the cat jumped over the fence. I had to write the sentence, there are 50 states. Believe it or not, I passed. Nice. And yesterday, we had our citizenship oath ceremony, and so there's about 100 people, 99 from Mexico, 1 from Germany. And you take the oath, and it's a very solemn and meaningful event. And the only thing that was weird for me is because Germans are not very patriotic because of our history. It's like ingrained. A German would never run around with a flag. A German would never say, I'm proud to be German, because then you're automatically considered a Nazi. So we were all given this little tiny flag. And so at the end, after we took the oath, the guy that did the ceremony was like walking up and down with the flag, and they played this, which I later learned, I never heard it before, but this song that's like one of the most important, America's great, we're the best kind of song. And so he went like this, and we all had to wave, and I felt so weird. And so I'll leave you with this picture that my girlfriend took that kind of shows how I felt at the moment. Let me pull it up, and then I'll pass it around. Where is it? And this is, my speech is actually over. I'm just looking for the picture now.
You can start this.
You can easily spot me in there. Thank you.
Very excited.